This is part 2 of day 3 of the Killer Dentist murder trial. If you haven't been following the case, I'll give you a recap. Please, a major trigger warning. This is Dr. Suzanne Miracle. She was a very prominent dentist. She had a successful practice in St. Simon's Island prior to her arrest. Now, she is currently facing murder charges for allegedly taking the life of her boyfriend, David Barron, back in March of 2025. According to the state, they had a toxic relationship. She was very controlling. And when she found out in December of 2024 that he was talking to another woman, was sending her money, that took this toxicity to another level where she eventually took his life in March. The defense says absolutely not. That is not what happened. She is a domestic violence victim. She was abused, mistreated by him from the moment they bought their home and signed the documents. He completely changed. On that particular day, she defended herself. That is why she took his life. Let's get into the next witness, which is Evan Barron. That is actually the son of David. He shares that the majority of his career, he worked with his dad. They go on to talk about the relationship between David and Suzanne and the sons. He shares that he had only met Suzanne kind of half a dozen times after they got back together because they dated between 2018 and 2019. When they get back together in 2024, he officially met her on a vacation, a family vacation on August of 2024. Everybody was there with their spouses and their kids. He said it was great. They spent hours at the beach, keeping kids out of everything. And he really was looking forward to the relationship with Suzanne and the dad, saying that, he really felt that she made him happy. They were from the same area. She liked football. She loved spending time with family because she also had kids. And he said, I think I was most excited because dad was always looking for someone. I think that having someone close by, being local, was something really good for them. Did you ever see them fight? No. Besides that beach vacation, did she ever come to any family events? He said, our twins' third birthday party, they came, they had a blast. His mom was there. The entire family was there. Everyone got along. Everything was great. Now, out of nowhere, he gets a call from Suzanne December of 2024 around 10 or 11 p.m. And she starts yelling at him and starts saying stuff. And his wife was like, what is going on? Because he has her on speaker. It's late at night. I don't get calls like that. She says, look, David and I got into an argument. You could hear the dad in the background. She was visibly upset. And she says, I pulled a gun on your dad. At this point, they were both like, that's not normal. What is going on? And he hears her state, he got away from me. At the time, he's knocking on the door. He is screaming, the father saying, where are my keys? And he said, look, it's normal. Anytime there's an argument or anything, my dad just really leaves the scene. So at this point, we're like, what is the issue? Why is there a gun involved? We got into an argument. He says, look, I'm assuming it's about Lila. Lila, from what I understand, was the woman that was from Moldova. At this point, he eventually calls his dad. His dad finally got his keys and everything. He's like, look, our dad doesn't tell us anything about his relationships. That is something he keeps completely silent, so he's not going to go into details. The only thing he said was, look, I'm at a hotel. Everything is fine. Then they asked him about Lila, Lilia, whatever. And he said, I found out about her at the family beach vacation. That means it was August of 2024. And he said, my uncle who was there gave me some indication that he had seen some paperwork from my dad on his desk at work. Keep in mind that what they're advising, or the defense is stating, is that he was bringing her, Lila, on a green card. So he was actually bringing her from Moldova. Is it your knowledge if she knew about Lila, Suzanne, prior to December 8th? He goes, I don't think so. So that's when they were arguing that they realized, hold up, she literally just found out about Lila or Lilia. They then bring up a text message that Suzanne sent him on February 1st. They asked him to read it, and so the text message goes, your dad came to SI, St. Simon's Island, to talk to me about working this out. I did not tell him that I reached out to you. He told me that he was going to stop sending Lilia money, communicating with her. He told me that you saw something on his desk and asked him to stop. He told me the story between them. I am praying for us. I do love him so much. I know he is struggling. He told me he was helping you with the treehouse. Please love him and support him. I have fallen in love with all of you. The following day, she sends him another text that morning, I believe almost at 1 in the morning. She says, I'm not going to text you anymore, but your dad needs support. He is sending that woman so much money and paying for an apartment. I can't see him anymore. And then I can't see you. So at this point, he replies and says, I'm sorry. And he says, look, Holt and I, him and his brother are going to have a discussion with him. And I wasn't a fan of what this Lilia person or what he was doing. All I know is that, we were talking that particular day. We were at the treehouse. I told him that I wanted to sit down and have a conversation about Lilia and him stopping this because we considered it more of a predatory thing. She's not living in the United States, and I wanted to make it clear that someone was taking advantage of him and he needed to stop, that he was having issues or trying to have a relationship with someone and just communicating with this person was not what makes any sense. Then he gets another text message from her stating that the dad got mad at her because she asked him about the relationship. She made it clear it's unacceptable. He ends up getting mad. He leaves. And she tells him, look, I don't want him to feel like everybody has turned against him, but I can't do this anymore. He lies too much. I feel like I've lost my best friend, but please be there for him. They respond, or he responds and says, I'm sorry for all of this. I wanted to show you who your dad is sending money to. She sends the picture. Lilia has a daughter as well. They both appear financially stable. In fact, if you look at Lilia, she has so many men following her and sending her money. It appears to be a scam or a con. You may want to intervene. Your dad is being taken advantage of. I know he's smarter than this. This is why my heart is broken and so disappointed. Why is he sending her so much money? He's paying for an apartment at Harbor Point in New Jersey for Emily. She apparently has plenty of money too. They both do. And again, keep in mind, she has sent him pictures of what the mom and the girl look like so that he's aware of what's happening to the dad. Now, he does make it clear that him and his wife look these people up. And then he gets another text message saying that the daughter, Emily, has done very well for herself. He confessed to her that he had fallen in love with Lilia, thought they were going to be married. That's why he was sending money. Of course, as you can imagine, that was all news to her. At this point, Evan is saying, look, I am so sorry. I had no idea about any of this. However, I'm going to address this with my dad because we talked about different things, but I need to talk about this woman that's in New Jersey, to see what's going on. At this point, she says, look, your dad keeps texting me. I'm not responding. I don't want him to know anything. Please don't let him know that you and I are corresponding. And, he responds, he goes, look, I haven't told him at all that you and I chat. This nonsense with this lady needs to stop. We talked directly about this today. It's almost like he's being scammed or preyed on. We discussed his health, his relationship, his drinking, and this money wiring crap. And, again, they're really concerned about the dad. She does say that she's in shock because they had talked about marriage and she no longer believes that he's in love with her. He really believes that he's in love with this Lilia person who apparently is scamming him. The son, of course, in the middle of it, is like, I'm so sorry. I'm going to have a conversation with him. He does care for you. And that was it. The biggest thing that they have issues with, the sons and him, is that he never goes into details about his relationships. Yes, he's having these conversations with his dad. His dad isn't telling him anything. He's keeping it quiet. His testimony is a little bit longer, so I'm going to go into the next video in a minute. Talk to you soon.